Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stardew Valley video. In this video, I'll be teaching you how you can beat Journey of the Prairie King without dying in new Stardew Valley 1.5. So let's get into it. Okay, so to begin with, we'll talk about some basic strategies before we get into the bigger sort of tips. So to begin with, you're really going to be always wanting to be shooting. So even if there's no enemies on screen, keep on shooting because one of those bullets could kill an enemy that just has come out. And that will be essential because you can really be overwhelmed with enemies incredibly quick, especially near the more end game levels. As well, you're always going to be wanting to get coins because coins are really big. I would even maybe say get coins before you get power-ups in times, because coins are essential to getting big upgrades, which can just all in all improve how well you do in the game. Some increase your movement speed, your firing rate and your bullet damage, to all in all improve how you do in game. I'm also just going to want to talk as well about the power-ups, because there's a lot of power-ups, a lot of them, and without power-ups, honestly, the game might be impossible. So, I do want to say, not the power-ups aren't all equal. You know, that some power-ups might be a wee bit better than others. And what I mean by this is, for example, coffee just increases how fast you walk. Now, this is not a whole lot helpful, so you'd want to use it so you can store a more valuable item in your back pocket, like, for example, a wagon wheel, which shoots in all directions, which is really helpful, especially on certain levels where you can knock out a lot of enemies in a big space. I'll also just take the time as well to tell you what all the power-ups do, what they are, and which ones are better than others. So to begin with, there's coffee, which I've told you about earlier, and what coffee does, it just increases your movement speed. I'd say that would be the lowest of lowest. I'd say that would be the one you'd always want to use. I'd say over that, there's also, I don't know, it's debated, but I'd say there's two power-ups that are both kind of bad. They're both kind of same. One is called the Flower Bomb, and what it does is it basically, once you use it, it teleports you to a random area in the map and confuses all the enemies to... I don't know, they're just confused and it puts you in a bad position, which is why I don't usually use it. I try not to use it, but it can get you out of a hard bit. And you have the nuke, which I'd say is a bit better. It just clears the entire screen, which sounds good, but that means then that the enemies don't drop anything. They don't drop coins, they don't drop power-ups, and you need a lot of those things to go through the game. So if you use one, it's not the end of the game, but if you can not use it, then that would be a lot better. As well as that, after that, or I should say, you have the shotgun, which basically lowers your fire rate, but then you shoot 3 bullets in one direction, which is good whenever there's a swarm of enemies coming. After that, I'd say is the machine gun, and basically what that does is it shoots in one direction just like normal, but you shoot incredibly fast. This one is a great one, and I would drop the shotgun or any of the other ones off if you do find this one. You also have the wagon wheel, which I'd say is slightly better. They're both on the same level, they're both really good. So I would say definitely use the wagon wheel. What it does is it shoots in all directions. It's just like normal fire rate, but it shoots in every single direction. And actually, if you couple this with the shotgun, you shoot in every possible direction and everything just dies. But you need a couple of two, which is rare, but when it happens, it is insane. And the final best power-up in the game is the golden star, the sheriff's badge. This basically shoots in, it's like, so you just combined basically the coffee, the machine gun, and the shotgun. So you move faster, you shoot faster, and you shoot in 3 directions. So this is a really good power-up. And as well, one I didn't mention is the tombstone, which basically, it makes you invincible, but only for like a short period of time. Once you run into people or run into enemies, they do die, but this means they will run from you. And if they run into the corners of the maps, then you have to go over. If they drop something, you'd have to go over to them. So this one is good. I'd place it, I'd say I'd say on par with the shotgun, to be honest, because it can get you out of a tight spot, and I would definitely use it if it's the only thing you have. But that's pretty much all the power-ups from what I know. You do have as well the 1-up. What the 1-up does is it's basically like what it is, it gives you another life. But if you're going for total Fector's challenge, this is just a boring item. No, not boring, it's just like it's garbage, you know. There's no point to it. As well as that, each boss, once there's 3 bosses in the game, and once you kill each boss, what happens is they basically, so say you kill a boss, say drop a life, a 1-up, but then you have to go around the little item that you pick up to then go to the next set of levels. It's kind of complicated, but in the end it's not too bad. But you do have to go around the item that you pick up to go to the next level to get that 1-up. As well, you have coins, as I talked about, but you also have 5 coins. Those basically, it is what it says. It gives you 5 coins instead of 1. I'm also just gonna now talk about all the upgrades you can get. So for 8 coins, you can get boots, which increases your movement speed, and for 20 coins, once you've purchased the boots, the next time the shop owner comes every 2 or so levels, then you can buy even speedier boots, which cost 20 coins. Honestly, I would not buy this at all. Like, in no playthrough would I really buy this, even if at the very end there is nothing for you to buy. I don't even think I would buy the boots, because then that just could throw you off being even faster. So I'd say definitely do not buy the boots. And once you've bought, if you do end up buying boots, if you buy the first pair, the second pair, then the next time the shop owner comes around, then you can buy a 1-up for 10 coins. The second set of upgrades you can get is the shooting speed upgrade. So what this does is, for 10 coins, the first one, you get a normal gun, and basically that just increases your movement speed, your shooting speed a wee bit. For 20 coins, the next time the vendor comes, you can get a slightly faster gun then, and for 30 coins, the third time it comes around, you can buy a super fast gun for 30 gold, or coins, sorry. And if you're playing in hard mode, which basically, once you complete Journey of the Prairie King, it unlocks hard mode, which basically lets you play through Journey of the Prairie King again, but harder, which it is already hard enough. But if you do end up doing this, so basically what it does is, once you restart it and once you play through it again in hard mode, you keep all your items, but then it's just harder. So if you do end up doing this for 99 gold or coins, you can buy a super gun, which basically permanently gives you the shotgun power up, except what this does is it doesn't lower your fire rate. It just makes you really fast. It's as if you had a sheriff's badge pretty much, but it's just like a permanent sheriff's badge pretty much. So it is a really good thing, but it's only available in hard mode. The third area of upgrades is the ammo upgrade, which makes your bullets do more damage. Now, this is the stuff that will be the most useful to you as you play through the game. So for 15 coins, you can buy the first area of ammo upgrade. Now, this then, basically what this does is it makes your bullets, instead of doing 1 damage, it does 2 damage. For 30 gold, you can buy the ammo upgrade, the second ammo upgrade, which does 3 damage instead of 2 damage. And then for 45 coins, you can get the white ammo box, which does 4 damage instead of 3. And if you buy all those, you can end up buying a sheriff's badge for 10 coins if you have it. I'm now just going to move on to the types of enemies in game. So to begin with, you have the orc. It has 1 HP, it just moves slowly towards the player, and they often spawn in very large numbers. They only appear in the first stage, like from areas 1 to 4, and they're pretty basic, they don't do too much. The next enemy is the spike ball. Now, it has 2 HP, but when it's deployed, e.g. when it stops moving and just curls up into like a spike, it has 7 HP. It just kind of walks, it's quite fast, it just runs towards the player and then tries to deploy itself and kill you when you walk into it. And it only appears in the first stage and the second stage, the second areas. There's also the orc, or the orc. Basically, it has 3 HP. It's very slow, like incredibly slow. But it is a little more tanky sort of, if you get what I mean. It also destroys spike balls if it walks into them. These appear in stages 1 and 2 from areas 3 to 4 and 1 to 3. You also have the mushrooms. They have 2 HP. These move very quick, but they also have 2 HP, so these are pretty powerful. Luckily, they only spawn in stage 2 and in areas 1, 2, 3, so not too bad. As well as that, they are also very powerful. So as I said, since they do have 2 HP, what I would recommend is that's why you need the coins, so that you can afford the power-ups, so that you can easily take down these higher level enemies. You also have the evil butterflies. They have 1 HP, but they can fly over enemies, and if they touch you, you're dead. So these are the first flying enemies you can encounter. So they just fly over obstacles. They don't need, like, all these other enemies, they can walk into each other and be stopped by each other, but this butterfly, it can just fly all over them, so these are very dangerous. Luckily, they do only have 1 HP. They spawn in stages 2, the areas from 1 to 3, basically all areas in stage 2. You have the mummy, which has 6 HP. And it moves very slow, but it does spawn in large hordes. Basically, there's nothing in the game that you can do to kill this guy in 1 hit. Basically, once these guys spawn, there is no upgrades you can even possibly get to make these guys a 1 hit kill for you. So you're gonna be shooting the entire time. But luckily, they only spawn in stages 3 on areas 1 to 3. So all throughout stage 3, the graveyard area, they'll spawn. You also have the imps, which have 3 HP, but they're flying enemies, which make them really bad. But if you have the second ammo upgrade, they're a one-hit kill, luckily. So that is very necessary, because these things need to be a one-hit kill, because they just move so fast. But the thing is that what happens whenever the imp is flying around, they can be stopped by mummies, at least I think so. You see, I'm not entirely sure, because that might be fixed in the new 1.5 update, but these are very hard enemies to defeat. But they spawn in stage 3 from areas 1 to 3. You also have friendlies, which are basically things that help you, things that want to help you. There's only one of these things. There's the goofer, so basically it has infinite HP. You cannot kill it, the enemies cannot kill it, but what it does is it basically just kind of helps you. It'll distract enemies, and enemies won't go towards you, they'll go towards it, so then you can kill it, and it won't go towards you. So these are very good, but they're just very random. They can spawn in any level, but they're quite random. Now we move on to the bosses. Now these bosses are pretty tricky and sometimes very unique, but we begin with the cowboy, the first boss, and the second boss. There's actually only 2 bosses technically, but one of the bosses appears twice. So what happens, the cowboy basically appears at the very last stage of stage 1 and the very last stage of stage 2. So the cowboy fight kind of takes place. It includes you basically not being able to go over to him, so you won't be able to be killed by him by being touched by him. So basically, you will never die by him touching you, because there's a ravine in between you. But he will constantly be shooting at you, and you'll have to duck behind little logs and stuff to try and not be hit by him and hit him instead. A good thing to do. One of its attacks is it pokes out behind his area, pokes out behind his basically log, and then just shoots directly at you a ton. So you're gonna need to hide behind your log to not be hit by him. But what will happen is he will also, so that's one of his attacks. Another one is that you can shoot at him while he shoots at you. It mirrors basically what you do. So say you walk over to one side of the screen, it'll follow you and shoot at you there. So basically this is very cheesable, because what happens is the hitbox for the logs are just ever so small, or like ever so small, so that you can shoot him but he can't shoot you. So he'll be trying to shoot you all the time, but you won't be able to shoot him, or like he won't be able to shoot you, sorry, but you'll be able to hit him. So basically you want to line it up so you just about are hitting past the logs whenever he tries to hit you, which will then kill him and you'll be able to get him. So what happens after that is, once you kill him, a bridge will appear over a ravine, and then you'll be able to get the item which takes you next stage. And basically the final boss, stage 3, area 4, is Fector, which is the final boss in the game. Now, Fector just basically shoots in random directions at you. He constantly is shooting at you, but every so often he'll just like spawn enemies. So he could spawn butterflies, orcs, mummies, just random enemies, and then once you defeat him, then he drops a heart, and once you get the heart, the ending cutscene plays. Okay, so I've covered basically all the strategies, everything you need to know about Journey of the Prairie King. And now finally, I'm gonna say about the final thing, which is the new thing in 1.5, which allows you to basically get Fector's challenge way easier, because before 1.5, it was nearly impossible. But now, after 1.5, it is actually very possible. So what you want to do is basically, when going to Journey of the Prairie King, the arcade cabinet, once you're going in to start playing it, what you do is, once you've finished each stage, you can exit out of the game and it'll save your progress. So after each stage you play, it saves your progress. So what's good about this is basically you can complete a stage, or like an area as the game calls it, and then what happens once you've done that is you make sure you're definitely on the next stage and you exit out of it and sleep. Now what happens is then that saves your progress there. And then you can go back into the arcade game, and then basically you're at the same point. It's as if you just carried on from where you left off. But the good thing is that when you die, or if you die, then that's not the end. Because if you die, you can just exit out of the game and then go back to the arcade game, and you're still at the same stage because the game saved itself. So if this doesn't make sense, basically, once you exit so basically every time you sleep, if you exit the game and make a save point, basically you can make another save point, saving the save point in that same in-game day. And basically if you die, then you can reload the day and that save point will still be there. Unfortunately, you can't just make a save point and if you die, exit the game and go back in, because what happens is the stage restarts, but it does count as you dying, so you do have to go to sleep as well every time. So it's a little more grindier and it'll take you longer, but it assures you that you probably will complete it, because it makes it like infinitely easier. So that is, I'd say, the main tip you need to take away. And if you take away this tip, it's kind of just smooth sailing from then out, and you will get the achievement. And then that, I think, like, to be honest, this is one of the more end game achievements. So what will happen is then this will mean that you'll finally get full completion in Stardew Valley. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to tell me as well if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that will help. I've tried to make this an ultimate guide so that everything you need to know about it is covered. Obviously not like in terms of trivia behind it, obviously just like all the in-game things you need to know to complete the game. So I do hope it's helped. Make sure to tell me what you want me to do next, because I'm running out of ideas kinda. So make sure to tell me that, and until next video, hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye.